if us like this? Why couldn't it be Affleck? Why couldn't it be Affleck? In case the rock you've been living under doesn't have Wi-Fi, this morning the Hollywood Reporter said that Henry Cavill is done as Superman. He refused to do his cameo for Shazam, and he's kind of just done with everything. And so naturally the internet did what it always did, and A, forgot that it hasn't totally been shitting on this guy for 5 years, mostly for stuff that wasn't in his control. But also B, decided to lose their minds and claim that, oh no, we loved you the whole time, we totally haven't treated you like shit. Honestly, if it was legitimately 100% confirmed he wants out, I wouldn't blame him. Like, look at what he's had to go through. Like, first Man of Steel comes out, and you have half the audience being like, he's too stiff, he's too wooden, he's emo, like, rah, rah, rah. And then you have the other half, like, defending him, but not really defending Superman as much as defending, well, they've got to modernize Superman because he's not really a good character. Yeah. Like, that's essentially what that movie turned into. And I still like Man of Steel. I haven't watched it probably since right before Batman v Superman, but I liked it fine, and I think he is the right choice to play Superman. It's just he's been handed some awful dialogue and scripts clearly written by people who don't care about Superman, but he does seem to care about Superman and wants to play the character right. And that's why I, don't want to get on the clickbait bandwagon and talk about this like it's gospel, but also why I think there's more going on here and that maybe Cavill isn't leaving. Because for those of you who haven't heard, within the past, like, couple of hours, I think, Cavill did an Instagram post where he has this weird video of him, like, holding up a Superman action figure while he's wearing a t-shirt that says Krypton lifts, and, like, a weird version of dogs singing classical music is playing in the background. I think this should be all we need to hear. First up, I fucking love this guy. I love how much fun he just likes having with everything besides his Comic-Con stunts, and generally the way he seems to really embody liking playing Superman in real life. I just love the fact that he just seems like a fun dude. Or was I? Lost my train of thought. Anyways, what I think is actually going on here, and look, I trust the Hollywood Reporter. They're usually very spot on, but I think what's probably going on here is DC and Warner Brothers kind of let this get out there and let this story come through, I think personally, to test the waters, because like I said, Henry Cavill hasn't had an easy time as Superman, and the internet seems to always kind of be very fickle about how it's treated him. I've always liked his performance, like I said before, but a lot of people have bitched about it, and I think they wanted to see how much of a reaction they would get if they said he was leaving. Because remember, look at the direction DC's going in. You've got Wonder Woman 1984, you've got Aquaman, Shazam. We're going more where we should be, and that's an actual comic book movie universe. And honestly, Henry Cavill and his desire to make Superman more like Superman, like we saw at the end of Justice League, really does feel like it would fit. But DC needs to be careful moving forward, because it won't be too hard to jump back into that sort of bad realm. If Justice League taught us everything, it's that just because they won back good faith with Wonder Woman doesn't mean it always translates to the next film. So they want to be careful here. And I think this is testing the waters. See if people really care about Cavill leaving. And now that they prove that people do care and they do want him to stick around, then I think you're probably going to hear some news about moving forward with Man of Steel 2 sometime in the near future. Again, I'm still speculating. Maybe he really does want out and he just wanted to do that Instagram video to fuck with people. But it honestly wouldn't shock me if there's like just normal contract negotiations going on right now, and he's sort of trying to figure out where he stands with the general public and where the studio wants to go with him next and all that. But now that we've talked about that, let's get on to this week's Yugioh Vrains episode. An actually very simplistic, very minimalistic, and I fucking loved it. Like, this week did something really ballsy that I feel like you don't see this show do enough. It actually respected the audience's intelligence. So we met the Ignis Lightning. First up, apologies to the guy who theorized in last week's comment section that what if Yusaku is the light Ignis? I'm sorry I never got back to your comment, but that actually was a kind of a cool idea, because it would have brought the whole thing with Bowman together, and it would have been a really neat idea to see what you could have done with that. I'm sorry that didn't actually happen. That actually would have been really cool to see. But we did meet Lightning, and Windy came back, which was nice. And we get a very interesting dynamic going on here. Once again, we see the Ignises be more like people. We see them want to have their own sense of security and safety, which how much they want to rebuild Cyber's world. We see that they want them all to be together and a family again. That's a really deep concept going on here. But then we also see the antithesis. It would have been really easy to just make the Ignises misunderstood and just need to be saved. But no, they're on the warpath, or at least, like, half of them are. Like, they know that they have to end humanity if they want their existence to be secured. And this is actually really interesting because it's the opposite of what our last arc's villains wanted. Remember something. The goal of Hanoi was to sort of for the world to lose control. Down with technology, down with what has become Western civilization. Like, that way humanity can ensure its existence. Now we have the opposite approach. Now we have the technology saying, like, down with humanity's existence. Like, let's make the tech rule everything, keep everything strictly under control, expand, expand. It's sort of this interesting versus concept, and the great thing about it is that you can sort of see where the Ignises are coming from. Remember, Windy and Lightning have not actually had any real interactions with humans that we know of, besides being blown up by Revolver. Like, their only real interactions with humans were, I mean, they know that they were created by the doctor guy, I can't think of his name right now, Kagami, I guess, and how he wanted them to succeed humanity. That's already their programming. That's already their goal. And then the next time they meet a human is when basically the humans prove what they think to be correct. Humans are dangerous. Humans are violent. They need to go, and we need to take control of the Earth, and I don't blame them for thinking that. They've gone through a lot of shit in not a lot of time. And, well, you can understand their want to be angry and their want to get some sort of control in their lives. It's a nice little relatable story because you have two angles to both sets of bad guys that you can kind of see. Because remember, now Hanoi has been proven right that the technology does want to bring an end to humanity. Yes, of course, this is partially Hanoi's fault, but they're the villains. Their mindset still has to be screwed up in some way, shape, or form. Moving on, we then get Yusaku coming into the scene, and I love how Soulburner's not there. Like, as much as Yu-Gi-Oh! Wants to make you like Soulburner, they're still going to make sure to get him out of the scene the minute they need to remind you how special Yusaku is. That being said, I did quite enjoy that scene, where Yusaku comes in, and he weirdly doesn't even disagree with the Ignises that much. He does pretty much acknowledge that humanity is violent, humanity is dangerous, humanity could probably use some control. But what ultimately ends up being the thing that Yusaku doesn't want it to happen, it's not like what's right or what's wrong, it's the fact that people will get hurt, and Yusaku has an innate hatred for people getting hurt because of what he's gone through. It really tries to bring it back to the concept that Yusaku is more of an anti-hero than the straightforward, I'm like trying to save the world and all that. This guy kind of just has his own set of rules, and he pretty much only follows it. So it's a nice approach. I wonder if the whole sort of Ai's argument and Yusaku's argument would have been stronger if maybe they did bond with some people. Like, I sort of thought at the beginning they'd befriend Aoi, and like maybe they'd do a joke that Aoi gets along better with Ai than Yusaku does, or maybe make it that, you know, because they've dropped, and I've talked about this before, they seem to drop subtle hints that that they might want to do a thing between Yusaku and Aoi. maybe have that be there, and that's more of the reason that they don't want humanity to go either extinct or to be under the Ignis's control. Again, not everything has to relate back to Aoi, although I kind of like for it to. She's a better character than Yusaku. But just sort of I wonder if the human connection there, if it would be stronger. I'm not necessarily saying it would, because I like that we're in this area of gray, and even our protagonist is not the great black and white factor here. I think that's a neat idea. I just wonder if it would be stronger under some different circumstances. But that's what I think in terms of that. And finally, we have the end to this episode. What a fucking jizz-rockin' ending. Just like, I wasn't... Because I thought that we were going to get more Deus Ex Machina bullshit. We kind of do. But I thought for certain Yusaku was going to get, like, locked out. I do think it's funny that they were going to kill Ai with a tornado. I don't know why. That was hilarious. And I love Ai's facial expressions during the whole thing. But nope. Revolver just shows up and just starts wrecking shit. He just shows up like a rock star. I don't know if I like his new face design all that much. I get the point. He's come into his own more. He accepts who he is a bit more, maybe. But I don't know. It just looks a little too detailed. Like, I feel like there's a lot going on in Revolver's design, and this kind of just maybe makes it look a little bit more full. But again, then we see it at the end. What is Revolver's first idea? It's not maybe try and reason with them, maybe try and bargain with them. It's, nah, blow their home up again, destroy everything they hold dear, let them know how much of an asshole I am. And I love how he gives like a Seto Kaiba or a Jack Atlas style, I'm Destiny, I am here, suck my dick speech. That was awesome. No, but I'm really excited to see what happens next. Probably big epic duel, maybe some more Boral links, maybe some more rockets that people will think are good and will get to be secret rares even though they don't deserve to be secret rare. When you could have made Babushka a secret rare, at least it would have made the card worth something, and Cybernetic Horizon, not Cybernetic Horizon, Circuit Breaker wouldn't have been kind of a half-valued set because you assholes put so many bad secret rares that now pollute the Mega Tens! Yeah, I'm still a little mad about that. But what did you think about that in the comments section below? Give me your thoughts about Henry Cavill. Give me your thoughts about the Vrains stuff. And finally, the TCG question of the week. I've tried to avoid talking about it until it actually shows up, because I feel like once you talk about it once, you never shut up about it for 2 months. But the ban list, it's got to be fucking coming out. There's no way they're going to let the 200th YCS be in such a stale who goes first based format. At least I hope not. So what do you want on the ban list? And you can't say ban Firewall. Not because it's totally not a viable option. I almost wonder if part of the reason Firewall is out of the show so much is so they can hit it. But just because, like, it's kind of the easy option. I want you to say something interesting. Or if you just, like, want stuff like Terraforming to 1 or something, that's also fine. Tell me that below, and as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me as we wait for that final announcement that Affleck is leaving Batman, and we can hopefully get someone who's not as sad.